Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you again for tuning in. For those that never seen my videos, my name is Jiry Garcia. I'm a local realtor here in Orange County, California. And in today's video, we're gonna talk about closing costs. I did a previous video where I went over a closing statement for the purchase of a property of a deal I completed last year. And in this video, we're gonna go over the seller's side of the closing costs. So same thing, we're gonna go over a closing cost for a previous transaction that I completed, but this time we're gonna go over the seller side. So we're gonna go over all the fees that are related with the sale of a home. So if you are maybe looking to sell your home or have a current property that you're gonna sell and never sold before, it is good to know what the costs are for you to sell your home. So that's what I'll be doing in this video. We'll go over each item line by line and I'll explain to you what each of the fees are. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comment section. And if you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you like my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. I do come up with videos usually every other week where I go over real estate trends and different topics related to real estate. And if you're looking for representation here in Orange County, if you're looking to buy or sell, I've been in the industry for over 22 years, so I can definitely help you. If you'd like to contact me, all my contact information is going to be in the description. And I'll also put a couple links to my Facebook and my webpage in case you guys want to check that out. So thank you again for tuning in. Again, don't forget to like the video and let's get started.
Here we are. Here's a copy of the seller's closing statement. Like I mentioned in my previous video, I completed a buyer's closing statement. In this case, again, we're doing it for the seller. So if you are looking to sell your home or are in the process of selling your home or looking to sell your home in the future, this is some, if not most, of the costs that you'll end up paying when selling your home. So I'm going to go over each one line by line, but I wanted to show you what the document looks like if you've never seen a closing statement, or also known as a settlement statement. This is something that the escrow company will provide to you. Now, if you're working with a real estate agent, usually at the beginning of the process, you will get one of these so you have an idea of what the closing costs will be. And throughout the process, you can always ask for updates of this document, and escrow and your escrow officer should have no problem getting you a copy of this, like I said, through the whole transaction. In this case, this is an estimated seller closing cost, not the final. On my previous video that I will link here, I completed again for the buyer's side, but that one was a final statement and it said final on here. In this case, we're doing an estimate. This is a pretty accurate estimate. As you can see here, it was printed on the 19th. The loan or the transaction closed, the sale closed on the 25th. So this was a few days prior to the closing. So it's pretty accurate as far as the numbers go. And I blanked out all the information, but if you were doing your transaction, you're going to see a file number here, the escrow contact info, buyer's name, seller's property, and usually you're going to get the escrow officers or the escrow office logo up here. So it'll look just like this, but it'll have more information. And let's get into it. It's pretty straightforward. Here's a description of our fees, and here are our debits and credits. So total consideration. This is the actual purchase price or sales price for the property. In this case is $414,000. Moving down, we're gonna do our prorations, and usually prorations have to do with taxes and association dues. These get prorated, again, depending on when the seller moves out, then they're gonna prorate it to those dates. As you can see here, property taxes. In California, they're due twice a year. So that's why you'll see 6 months in here. And in this case, we're prorating just the January payment. As you can see, from January 1st through the 25th, this transaction is due to close on the 25th. So this is taxes for the month of January. And as you can see here, the seller is going to pay most of that because they're moving almost at the end of the month. So the seller will pay $210.64 for January's taxes due. Next, we're going to go to association dues. There are 2 associations due for this home seller. This association is due twice a year, every 6 months. So that's why you see here $127 for 6 months from January all the way through July. And as you can see here, the seller is actually getting a credit of $110 because this is paid through July. Sellers moving out in January, so they get a reimbursement, they get money back. The buyer is responsible for that amount, so the seller gets a credit. There's a second association. This one is the main association, as you can see, is $371 monthly. This is the proration for the January payment. And then again, same concept, the seller is going to get a credit because they're not going to be there for the full month. Next, we're going to see a seller credit. So if in your sale you are giving a credit to the buyer, you're always going to see that on this statement, and it's going to show up as a debit since you are the one paying for that credit to the buyer. I'm sorry. So as you can see here, $500 credit, and it is a debit to you. We're going to move on next to our commissions. Now, as the seller, remember that you will pay commissions to both the listing agent and the selling agent, or in other words, the buyer's agent. So usually they call the buyer's agent the selling agent. So if you see that selling broker, that means the buyer's agent. Okay, and in this case, each got $8,280. These are usually your fees. And like I said, the seller always pays both the listing and the selling broker's fee. Next, we're going to move on to the title charges. As an owner, you will pay owner's title policy insurance, and this is $1,411. This is based on the sales price, $414. On my other video, you'll see that for the buyer usually pays the policy for the loan amount that they took out. For the seller, for the owner's policy, you're paying based on the sell amount. In this case, $414,000. And this fee is usually depending on the sales price. And what I'll do is I'm going to post a copy of Western Resources title a schedule fee. They usually have a fee schedule where it's going to show the loan amount, the brackets, and what the fee will be for each of those. So you'll know this beforehand. Again, if you're working with a realtor, the realtor at the beginning of the transaction should show you what these fees will be. And usually they will provide a closing statement or a breakdown of the fees before you start actually working with a realtor, or at least the realtor should show you this at the presentation when they're actually showing you what they're going to do for you. They should have a breakdown of the fees. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but it does have to be very close to what the final numbers will be. County transfer tax. Again, anytime you transfer property, you are going to be charged a transfer tax, and this is based on, again, the sales price. $455.40 is going to be the amount due for the seller in this transaction. We have a wire fee when the funds get transferred, get completed. There's usually a wire, the wire that's going to go out to you with the proceeds. That's going to be this charge, $35. Recording fee, this has to do with county and recording the sale. So there's a $20 fee. Sub escrow fee, in this case, title is going to be paying off the loan, and title is going to be responsible for making sure the loan gets paid off, make sure the loan comes off of the title, and all that is what's covered under the sub escrow fee. So $62.50. And then finally, there's a California affordable housing recording fee. This is a fee by the state of California. Again, housing affordability is an issue here. So there's a fund that all sellers, when completing a sale of a property, will pay this fee to the state of California. And this goes into a fund for purposes of affordable housing. So those are your title fees. Again, if you have any questions, please put those on the comments, and I'd love to answer any questions. Some might look different if you're currently doing a sale and you see some of these fees should all be on your statement. But if you have other fees, there are other fees that can be added on here. But if you have any questions regarding those, put those in the comments and I can answer those for you. And as far as escrow, as you can see here, Coast City's escrow is charging a settlement fee of $14.15. And again, escrow is your third party. They're going to be working with title, with the lender, with all people involved in the transaction, and they are the third party in charge of making sure all the monies go where they need to be. And they're a neutral third party if you've never worked with an escrow. They charge a fee. This is their settlement agent fee. Like I said, I'm going to link the video for the buyer's side, and you'll see that the buyer's side is going to have other fees because, again, the buyer is getting the loan. There's more work involved on that side of the deal. So for the seller, it's just a settlement fee of $14.15. And obviously, the seller in this case did have a loan on the property, and this is the payoff. Now, if you're selling your home and you don't have a loan, it's free and clear, then you won't see this on here. But in most cases, most people are paying off a loan. So this is what these numbers are, and these are coming right off the payoff. Again, when you're doing a sale, escrow company is going to request a payoff from your current lender, and then they're going to use the numbers right off that payoff statement. And that is what we see on here. Your interest, principal balance, some fees being charged by the lender, and then your total payoff right here, $262,733. So when the deal closes, escrow will directly send payment to the lender for this amount. We're going to move on to the taxes. First half of the taxes in California is due in December. This transaction is closing in January. So I'm going to assume that the taxes were not paid. And so the seller is responsible for paying those taxes. And that's why you see that fee on here. And then the second installment will be paid by the buyer. But most likely the bill is not out yet. So that's why you don't see anything related to that bill. Additional disbursements, so additional fees related to the sale. We do have a home warranty fee of $580. Again, when you sell your property, you're most likely going to be paying for a home warranty for the buyer to have, in case anything breaks down. Most buyers want that warranty. And in California, in most transactions that I've seen, it's usually the seller that pays for it. So $580 for the seller to provide that home warranty to the new buyer. We have a natural hazard report. This is, I would say, 99.9% of the transactions in California. You are going to have a natural hazard report that is paid by the seller, given to the buyer. This just shows any hazards, any issues with the land or anything close to the property that might be a hazard to the new home buyers. This report is going to reveal it. And like I said, it's pretty much mandatory here in California, and that will be provided to the seller, provided to the buyer, being paid by the seller. It's state required contingency fund. As you can see here, this says hold till close of escrow. This is what we call a padding or a buffer, $500. This is just in case any other fees come up. Again, because this is an estimate, they pad $500 in case any other fees come up. And then if nothing else comes up, this money will go back to you as the seller. Okay. Next, we have a transfer fee to total property management. This is for the HOA. And as I had mentioned, there is two HOAs. It's Lake Mission Viejo, and then you have total property management. Those were the two HOA fees that we saw up here. And here, these are the transfer fees. If you ever lived in an HOA or you have an HOA, they usually cover or charge a transfer fee to have everything transferred to the new owner. So that is what this fee is. Each one is charging $125, and the other one is charging $250. And this is pretty common when you have an association. Besides that, we have first half of Lake Mission Viejo Association. Like I mentioned on the top, that association is paid every 6 months. So they're just prorating the fees here, and it looks like the seller is due for $127. And the other association, December and January, this is the main association, $720. Okay, these are the fees. Then again, there is some money going back to the seller right here, and that's because again the prorations and when the seller is moving out. So you'll see the fees here and then some money back to the seller because again the seller is not going to be there the whole time. Seller is moving in January, so it's the proration. And then that is the total of the fees. You see your subtotals here, all your fees plus your payoffs, consideration, and then this is the amount due to the seller. This is the amount the seller will net out. So in this transaction, the seller is netting out $126,320. So this is the money, actual money that will go back to the seller when the transaction closes. And that wire fee that we saw earlier here for $35, they're going to wire these funds into your account unless you want to check, which I highly doubt anybody's going to want to check nowadays. So this money will get transferred right into your account and it's available to you right away versus getting a check and waiting for it to be clear. So that is it. That is the total. That is what a seller closing cost looks like. Again, this is a sales price of 414. So if you were doing a higher sales price, then some of these fees are going to be higher. Everything is based on that sales price. So again, any questions, please go ahead and put them in the comment section. And thank you again for watching the video.